The illusion of effort. Why chasing blocks receiving. We are taught from the earliest age that effort equals success. Push harder. Grind longer. Stay focused. Stay hungry. Want it more than anyone else, and it will be yours. These ideas are embedded in our culture, our media, our schooling, and our very biology. They are celebrated, rewarded, even deified. But in the world of quantum manifestation, this mindset becomes a trap. You might not realize it, but every time you chase what you desire, you affirm its absence. And in the quantum field, this contradiction is not ignored, it is amplified. The field doesn't listen to your goals, it listens to your being. And if your being is frantic, anxious, restless, desperate, then that's the frequency you are broadcasting. Not abundance, not love, not clarity, but lack. Let's begin with a simple analogy. Imagine a thirsty traveler wandering through the desert, searching for water. He sees a mirage, runs toward it, only to find more sand. He keeps chasing, eyes locked on the horizon. But what he doesn't know is this: he was standing above an underground spring the entire time. But he never stopped long enough to feel it. This is how most people treat manifestation. They chase their dreams, goals, and intentions as if those things live out there, somewhere in the distance, just beyond reach. And so they live in a perpetual state of striving, of almost, of not quite. And the field responds to that vibration. Not yet. What if the true secret is stillness? Not passivity, not laziness, but alignment, tuning, calibration, being so deeply present with the feeling of your fulfilled desire that the chase becomes irrelevant because energetically it's already yours. Here's the irony: people want complex manifestation rituals because complexity gives the illusion of control. Write your goal 10 times. Burn the paper under moonlight. Visualize it for 22 minutes. Repeat the affirmation 108 times. While none of these practices are inherently wrong, they become dangerous when they replace embodiment. They become spiritual busywork. The field doesn't care how many rituals you perform if they are rooted in doubt. It responds only to your energetic coherence. Let's take a deeper example. A woman named Aisha desperately wants to find love. She meditates daily, does affirmations, goes on dates, lights intention candles. But under all of that is fear. Fear she's unlovable. Fear she's running out of time. Fear she'll be alone. So the field doesn't bring her love. It brings her more longing, more disappointment. Why? Because her electromagnetic broadcast is not love. It's lack. Now imagine if Aisha stopped. Not stopped wanting, but stopped chasing. What if she simply woke up each day and lived as if she were already deeply loved, not by anyone external, but from within? What if she walked through her life like someone who belonged to love, not someone begging to be chosen? This is the first fracture most people must face. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. And becoming that version of yourself internally before anything shows up externally is the single greatest leap of faith the ego can't comprehend. Because the ego wants evidence, proof, logic, guarantees. The quantum field wants coherence, resonance, congruence, simplicity. Here's another example. A man named Marco wants financial freedom. He's burned out at his job, checks his account constantly, makes vision boards, recites wealth affirmations. But deep down, he's scared. He's angry. He feels like a victim of the system. And that broadcast, those emotions, they speak louder than any dream house he's cut out of a magazine. The field hears scarcity. And so scarcity continues. But one day Marco stops. He doesn't win the lottery. He doesn't suddenly inherit a fortune. He just changes one thing. He lets himself feel wealthy. Not pretend. Not force it. But he finds simple moments of richness in his day. Gratitude, peace, creative flow. And slowly, his outer reality begins to shift. Why? Because wealth is not a number, it's a state. And the quantum field isn't responding to your income, it's responding to your inner rhythm. The world teaches hustle, the field responds to harmony. Here's the paradox. When you stop chasing and start becoming, manifestation speeds up, not because you're doing more, but because you're resisting less. The field is not linear. It doesn't operate on the timeline of your ego. It operates on the frequency of your being. And when your frequency becomes a match, reality folds. But here's what scares most people: simplicity. Simplicity threatens the ego, because the ego thrives in complexity. Complexity gives it a sense of importance, of control. But the field doesn't speak the language of complexity. It speaks silence, stillness, knowing. That's why nobody gets this. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had a moment in your life where something just clicked effortlessly? Maybe a job opportunity appeared out of nowhere. Maybe you met someone who changed your life. Maybe a problem resolved itself the moment you stopped obsessing over it. That's not coincidence. That's coherence. Because when your mind, heart, and body align, when your inner state matches the energy of what you desire, the universe doesn't deliver it. It reflects it. And yet, the moment you start chasing, forcing, manipulating, begging, you step out of alignment and back into resistance. You broadcast confusion, doubt, and the field mirrors that back. It's not punishing you. It's responding to you. Let's look at how this plays out neurologically. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that your thoughts are electric and your emotions are magnetic. Together, they form an electromagnetic signature that broadcasts into the quantum field. And the field begins to reorganize reality based on that signature. So, if you're visualizing wealth while feeling afraid, your signal is not clear. If you're affirming love while vibrating with loneliness, the signal is scrambled. You're broadcasting static. But when your thoughts and emotions align, when you not only think the thought, but feel it in your cells, you create coherence. And that's when manifestation begins. This is not fantasy. It's physics. Think of it like tuning a radio. Your desired reality is broadcasting on a certain frequency, but you're tuned to something else. So, no matter how loudly you ask, you can't receive the signal. You don't need to build a new station, you just need to tune in. But tuning in requires stillness, surrender, trust. And for most people, trust feels like loss of control. That's why they cling to effort, rituals, hustle, obsession, because those things feel safe, predictable. They give the illusion of power, but they are noise. In quantum manifestation, less is more. Stillness is power. Feeling is the access key. Simplicity is the secret doorway no one wants to walk through because it requires you to do the hardest thing imaginable: let go. Let go of needing to know how. Let go of needing to control when. Let go of performing spirituality while secretly vibrating with fear. You are not here to force your dreams into existence. You are here to align with the version of you who is already living them. And that version, it's not out there. It's not in the future. It's a frequency away. Let me repeat that. Because it's everything, the reality you desire is not far. It's vibrationally adjacent. Which means the shift is not external. It's internal. Not in your schedule. In your state. That's why so many people fail at manifestation. Because they think it's about changing the world. But it's about changing your signal, your resonance, your emotional gravity. When you understand this, you stop chasing. You stop performing. You stop waiting. And you start being. You begin to walk as if, speak as if, decide as if, not to trick the universe, but to tune to it, to calibrate, to collapse the wave of possibility into the particle of your now. In Section 2, we will explore what it actually means to embody your desired frequency. You'll learn how your nervous system can't be fooled and why the body becomes the gatekeeper of your new timeline. But for now, remember this: the field does not give you what you ask for. It gives you what you are. And what you are is always a vibration. Embodiment is the message why you can't fake alignment, so you've stopped chasing. You understand that the field reflects coherence, not effort. You've accepted that what you are matters more than what you want. But here's where most people get stuck. They try to act as if without becoming it. They recite affirmations while panicking. They meditate while still doubting. They visualize while secretly checking the clock. And the field responds not to the ritual, but to the residue. Here's the problem. The body knows when you're lying. You can say all the right words. You can smile, visualize, trust the universe on Instagram, but your nervous system doesn't speak English. It speaks sensation. It speaks frequency. It speaks emotion. This is why embodiment is everything. Let's break it down through a simple but powerful truth. You're not what you say you believe. You are what your body believes. Suppose someone wants to feel powerful. They chant, "I am powerful," each morning. But every time they enter a room, they shrink. Every time they look at their bank account, they flinch. Every time someone disagrees with them, they defer. What is the field hearing? Not power, not certainty, but the embodied signal of insecurity, a contradiction. And in quantum terms, contradiction collapses coherence. The wave remains uncollapsed. Possibility never crystallizes into form. Let's go deeper. Embodiment is not acting. Acting implies pretending. Embodiment is about fusing your emotional, mental, and physiological systems with the frequency of your desired state until it feels natural, until it feels like home. Here's an example. Julia is a writer who wants her first book published. She visualizes the launch. She daydreams about interviews. She sees the bestseller badge. But every time she sits down to write, she freezes. Her shoulders tighten. Her stomach knots. Why? Because deep down, she doesn't see herself as a real author. That identity hasn't landed in her nervous system. She hasn't become the author. She's trying to earn it. That gap between the vision and her self-concept is the reason her manifestation is stalling. Now imagine if Julia focused not on getting published, but on becoming the version of her who already is a published author. What does she wear? How does she speak? How does she spend her mornings? What emotions live in her body? She might not have a contract yet, but her nervous system begins to sync with the frequency of that timeline. Her biology shifts. Her habits change. Her field stabilizes. And the mirror begins to reflect her new coherence. This is embodiment. Think of it this way. The quantum field doesn't care whether something is physically real. It responds to vibrational consistency. If you can make your future so emotionally familiar that your body believes it, the field collapses it into form. Not as a reward, not as a miracle, but as physics. Now let's talk about neurobiology. Your brain doesn't distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. If you close your eyes and truly feel the joy of your future home, your nervous system begins to rewire. Your body starts producing dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, chemicals of safety, abundance, satisfaction. That emotional chemistry becomes your electromagnetic signal. Over time, your subconscious mind, where most of your beliefs live, begins to shift. And when the subconscious is on board, resistance dissolves. You stop sabotaging. You stop needing proof. You begin to embody. This is the bridge few people cross, because it requires feeling it now, not when the thing shows up, not when the goal is achieved. Now, with no evidence, no applause, just inner certainty. Here's where things get subtle. Let's say someone wants deep inner peace. They meditate. They read spiritual books. But the moment someone cuts them off in traffic, they explode. The moment a bill is late, panic floods their body. What does that tell the field? It says, peace is a performance, not a foundation. The field doesn't listen to your best days. It listens to your baseline. And your baseline is not what you say. It's what you become when you're not trying. So ask yourself, who are you when life squeezes you? That's your true signal. That's what the quantum field mirrors. To shift this, you must bring the emotion of your desired reality into your body so deeply that it becomes your automatic response, not your occasional performance. Let's take another real-world example. A man named Deshaun wants to feel financially abundant. But every time he pays a bill, he tightens up. He hoards pennies. He feels guilt around spending. This is not alignment. This is contraction. This is fear. Now imagine if Deshaun made a decision. From now on, every financial act, whether large or small, will be done from a place of generosity, trust, and sufficiency. He may not suddenly have $1 million, but his signal changes. His posture changes. His field expands. And guess what? Opportunities begin to appear. Not because he got lucky, because he got aligned. Most people are waiting for the world to show them the feeling. But in quantum manifestation, you generate the feeling first, and the world reflects it back. It's backward from everything we've been taught. We are conditioned to wait for the result. Then I'll be happy. Then I'll feel powerful. Then I'll relax. But the field doesn't deliver based on promises. It delivers based on patterns. And your emotional patterns determine your frequency. So, how do you shift your baseline? You rehearse. Yes, rehearse. Like an actor, but not pretending. You are rehearsing alignment until it becomes identity. Mental rehearsal has been proven to rewire neural pathways. Olympic athletes use this. Surgeons use this. Performers use this. So why not use it for the most important performance of all, becoming the version of you who doesn't chase, but attracts? Set aside 10 minutes a day. Close your eyes. See the life you want. Now go deeper, feel it. Let the emotions rise, gratitude, certainty, relief. Let your body drink in the sensation of it being done, of it being now, not someday, now. This creates a vibrational imprint, a groove, a signature. Repeat it enough, and your nervous system stops waiting for proof. It begins to expect the reality you've been imagining. And when expectation replaces doubt, manifestation begins to accelerate. But let's be clear, you cannot fake this. You cannot bypass your inner truth with empty affirmations. You must feel it for real. You must build the emotional muscle of your desired state until it holds under pressure. And yes, it takes practice. It takes patience. But it also takes something else, devotion. This is not about manifesting one goal. It's about becoming someone new. Not someone different, but someone deeper. Someone who is no longer ruled by fear. Someone who no longer negotiates with lack. Someone who vibrates wholeness. Because in the quantum field, wholeness is magnetic. Here's one final story. Eli is a young artist. He wants recognition, validation, a career. But every time he posts his work online, he second-guesses himself. He deletes. He compares. He shrinks. Then he hears this truth. You cannot receive what you do not embody. So Eli decides to stop waiting for others to see him. He begins seeing himself. He treats his art like a gift, not a product. He creates from joy, not pressure. He speaks as a peer, not a beggar. And something changes. His following grows. His confidence solidifies. His reality catches up to his identity, not because he forced it, but because he finally embodied it. This is the turning point. The moment you stop trying to be and start being. In the next section, we'll explore how to maintain this vibrational signature, how to stabilize your alignment, and what to do when life tries to knock you off frequency. But for now, ask yourself, does your body believe the life you're calling in? If not, don't panic. Just begin the rehearsal. Begin the embodiment. Begin becoming. Because the quantum field doesn't respond to dreams. It responds to identity. And identity is built, emotion by emotion, decision by decision, moment by moment. Stability of signal, how to stay aligned when life gets loud. Let's say you've stopped chasing. You've begun embodying. You've felt the state of your future so deeply that your nervous system starts to believe it. But then something happens. A job rejection, a health scare, an argument, a week of nothing changing. Doubt creeps in, and with it comes the familiar pull. Check the outcome. Try harder. Push again. Panic a little. This is where 95% of people fall off, not because they're weak, not because they don't want it badly enough, but because they mistake instability for failure. They believe that a moment of fear means they're off track, that they've messed up the manifestation, but alignment is not perfection. It is return. Return is the real secret. You are not meant to feel perfectly high vibe 24/7. That's not human. What makes you powerful is not uninterrupted coherence. It's the ability to return to coherence when the world pulls you away. That return is a muscle. And like all muscles, it grows through use, through repetition, through choosing again and again to remember who you are being, rather than what you are seeing. Imagine your energy like a broadcast tower. Every thought, emotion, and decision sends a signal into the quantum field. When you're aligned, the signal is strong, clear, resonant. But when life gets loud, disappointments, distractions, doubts, the signal starts to wobble. Static, interference, noise. Here's what most people do. They panic and change the station. They switch goals. They abandon their vision. They try something else. But the ones who manifest consistently, they tune back in. They stabilize. They remember the signal and rebroadcast it. Again, and again, and again. Stability is the bridge between embodiment and evidence. Let's look at a metaphor, planting a seed. You don't dig it up every day to check if it's sprouting. You water it. You trust it. You protect its environment. And most importantly, you don't panic when the dirt looks still. Your manifestations are the same. The quantum field reorganizes in silence, often invisibly. You can't always see alignment working, but it is. The danger is in interpreting silence as failure. Let's take a real-world example. Lila has been aligning with the frequency of a healthy body. She eats well, moves with joy, visualizes vitality. For a few weeks, her energy soars. Her inflammation drops, but then she catches a cold. Her old patterns scream, "See? It's not working." You're not healed. In that moment, Lila has a choice. She can collapse into the old timeline, believe the signal has failed, or she can stabilize. She can return, breathe, remember, recalibrate. And that choice, not her immune system, is what determines whether she continues broadcasting the frequency of health or returns to the frequency of fear. The field always responds to your current coherence, not your past efforts. Here's where quantum manifestation becomes truly mystical. Sometimes things fall apart, not because they're bad, but because the new signal you're sending can no longer support the old structures of your life. You align with abundance, and your draining job disappears. You align with worthiness, and certain relationships dissolve. You align with peace, and old dramas flare up to exit. This is not regression. It's resonance maintenance. The field must recalibrate the outer to match the inner. But here's what most people do. They interpret the crumbling as a sign to stop, to doubt, to lower their signal to meet the wreckage. What the wise do. They rise above the noise. They hold the signal. They walk through endings with the posture of new beginnings. They stabilize, not emotionally, but vibrationally. How? Here are some tools to return to signal stability. 1. Anchor emotions. Pick 3 emotions that match your desired future. For example, calm, gratitude, certainty. Practice feeling these on command. Your brain may resist. That's okay. You're not thinking them. You're generating them. Even 2 minutes a day trains your nervous system to return faster next time you wobble. 2. Sensory anchors use music, smell, taste, or visual cues to drop back into alignment. A specific song that brings joy. A scent that evokes trust. These create associations between your desired state and your senses, helping embodiment become automatic. 3. Energetic language. Change how you speak, not to impress others, but to tune yourself. Speak from the reality you want, not the one you fear. Instead of, I hope it works, say, it's unfolding perfectly. Instead of, I'm trying, say, I'm aligning. Words matter because they direct focus, and focus directs frequency. 4. Nervous system regulation manifestation isn't just mindset. It's biological. When your nervous system is in fight or flight, you can't access creativity, gratitude, or faith. Simple practices like deep breathing, cold showers, or vagus nerve stimulation return you to parasympathetic calm, where your true signal broadcasts best. 5. Pause. Consumption incoherence often comes from overconsumption of opinions, news, doubt, noise. Give yourself daily silence. Not as punishment, but as signal hygiene. You are a broadcasting tower. Don't let other frequencies jam your signal. Now let's look at a case study. A young entrepreneur named Amir is building his dream business. He's doing the work, mindset, embodiment, energetic alignment. But growth is slow. The temptation to hustle harder haunts him. He feels torn. Should he surrender more or do more? Then he remembers, the quantum field doesn't respond to action. It responds to alignment first, action second. So Amir begins each morning with alignment practices, grounding, emotional tuning, remembering the why behind his vision. He stops obsessing over timelines. He stops asking when and starts asking, how do I embody this now? And slowly, opportunities begin arriving. Not because he hustled harder, but because his frequency stabilized. He stopped leaking energy through panic and started directing energy through presence. Now imagine if every time you were tempted to spiral into fear, doubt, urgency, you paused and returned. You tuned back in. You stabilized. This would change everything. Because reality doesn't require your control, it requires your consistency. The universe is not testing you. It's mirroring you. And if the mirror seems slow to reflect, it's not broken, it's catching up. One more truth. The more consistent your signal, the faster the shift. This is not a race, but it is a rhythm. And the more stable your rhythm, the more magnetic your field becomes. So how do you know if you're stabilizing? You start caring less about signs. You stop looking for validation. You begin to feel inevitability, not excitement, not anxious hope, but quiet certainty. You know it's done. Even when it's not visible, you know the frequency is locked. You stop checking the mirror because you trust what you're radiating. This is the moment manifestation becomes natural, ordinary, no longer magical but mechanical, like gravity, like breath. The next section will take you one step further, how to become the gravity, how to stop attracting and start bending reality toward you as naturally as the earth pulls objects downward. But for now, remember this, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to return, again, and again, and again. Stability isn't what happens when nothing moves. It's who you become when everything does, and you don't flinch. You are the gravity, becoming the force that collapses reality you've stopped chasing. You've started embodying. You've stabilized your frequency. But there's one more shift, one most people never even consider. A truth so simple it's terrifying. You don't attract reality. You generate it. Let that settle. The quantum field is not something outside of you that grants wishes. It's not a vending machine you press with affirmations until something drops. It's a mirror, a field of infinite potential. And the reflection it gives you is based on your energetic authorship, your ability to become the cause. In other words, you are the gravity. The earth doesn't attract things with effort. It doesn't chant to pull objects in. It simply is massive, magnetic, stable. And through that field, reality bends. Your frequency can do the same. Not by magic, by mechanics. Not through effort, through coherence. The final evolution in manifestation is this. You stop trying to create outcomes. You start being the outcome. Imagine walking through the world as someone who no longer asks, "Will this happen?" You walk as someone for whom it already has. Not delusion, not performance, just quiet gravity. That version of you, calm, magnetic, certain, already exists in the field. And every moment you choose to align with it, you collapse the distance between you and it. This is the final collapse. But it requires something few are willing to give, identity death. To become the version of you who lives the life you desire, you must let go of the version of you who doesn't. And that's terrifying. Because the old you has stories, familiarity, emotional habits, people who expect you to stay the same, entire ecosystems built on your current frequency. Letting that go is not a mindset shift. It's a full-body metamorphosis. Let me give you a powerful example. A woman named Sam spent her whole life believing she was the responsible one. She never asked for help. She kept the peace. She avoided risk. Her frequency was built around survival, safety, stability. But deep down, she wanted something else: expansion, passion, creative freedom. The version of Sam who lives that life was unrecognizable to the one she was currently being. And so, when she began aligning, things started crumbling. Her job felt unbearable. Her relationships grew strained. Her body even revolted. This was not failure. This was frequency conflict. The old self couldn't coexist with the new frequency. Something had to go. So Sam chose to let go of her story, her obligation, her mask. She didn't manifest her new life by affirming it. She became it. And from that new gravity, reality reorganized. People ask, how do I know I'm embodying the right frequency? The answer is simple. Reality begins to move around you. You stop chasing clients, they find you. You stop trying to be seen, you are noticed. You stop forcing synchronicities, they arrive like clockwork. Not because you're special, but because your frequency has stabilized into inevitability. You've stopped pushing. You've become the pull. And here's the wild part, this isn't rare. You've felt this before. Think of the moments in your life when time bent. You thought of someone, and they texted. You let go of control, and the answer appeared. You felt calm, and things aligned effortlessly. That was not coincidence. That was coherence. You temporarily became the gravity. But now imagine living there permanently, not as an accident, as a practice. This doesn't mean your life becomes free of challenge. It means challenge no longer changes your signal. It means storms happen, but your gravity holds. It means life responds to you, not the other way around. The final phase of quantum manifestation is not attraction. It's authorship. It's when you no longer ask, how will it come? Because you are the how. The job. You don't need it. You create offers. The relationship. You don't seek it. You radiate intimacy. The success. You don't hustle. You stabilize prosperity through your identity. Let's look at this from the lens of quantum mechanics. All versions of you already exist. not as concepts but as probabilities, in a state of superposition coexisting in the field. The poorer you, the wealthy you, the lonely you, the loved you. None are more real than the others until you observe. But what is observation in quantum terms? It is emotionally charged focus. It is not passive. It is not hope. It is frequency. So when you observe your future with full body resonance, when you become the signal, you collapse the wave. The potential becomes particle. The invisible becomes seen. You've heard it said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. But now you understand the physics behind the poetry. The feeling is not a trick. It is the signal that bends reality. But what if you don't feel it yet? Then you train it. Train your body to feel wealth before money comes. Train your breath to stay calm before the situation resolves. Train your posture to hold confidence before anyone approves. The field doesn't wait for circumstances to catch up. It waits for you to stabilize. This is the power that mystics spoke of in riddles, that physicists now glimpse through mathematics, that ordinary people access when they stop being ordinary. The shift is not in effort. It is in identity, not in wishing, in wiring. And wiring comes from repetition, from deliberate vibration, from emotional congruence. That's why the field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you've become. So let's end here, not with motivation, but with memory. You already are the version of you who lives the life you desire. Not in some abstract realm. Right now, inside your field, inside your body. You don't need to search for signs. You are the sign. You don't need to attract anything. You are the gravity. The field is not judging you. It is matching you. So match what you say you want. Match it with your breath. Match it with your decisions. Match it with your posture. Match it with your emotional frequency. And when you do, don't be surprised when everything changes. Not because you begged, but because you remembered quantum manifestation is simple. That's why nobody gets it. Because complexity sells, but coherence creates. And now you know the truth. You don't get what you desire. You get what you become. So choose. Collapse the wave and walk as the gravity you were always meant to be.